Darren Targaryen. He's a claimant.
You may not rule and remain yourself. There is in you a door that must shut. You will do things that your heart would have recoiled from. I dispute that I must become what I am not. Time will tell.
Ormund Hightower just set a trap so clever that Rhaenyra might not be able to win without destroying her own reputation. The new House of the Dragon Episode 3 trailer shows exactly how he plans to turn an entire city into a shield. And if this works, it could change everything about how this war ends. Based on the new footage from the Episode 3 trailer, it looks like Ormund Hightower is about to become one of the smartest and most dangerous threats Rhaenyra has faced so far this season. While Criston Cole and the Lannister army are falling apart after losing most of their men in the first 2 episodes, Ormund Hightower is doing something completely different. Instead of just fighting Rhaenyra head-on, he seems to be setting up a trap that puts her in an impossible position, no matter what she decides to do. The trailer shows Ormund Hightower and the Greens taking over the city of Tumbleton, with what looks like Jon Roxton leading the forces as his second-in-command. This is not just a simple military move. Tumbleton belongs to Rhaenyra. It is her subject city, filled with regular people who have nothing to do with this war. By taking control of it, Ormund Hightower is using the city as a kind of human shield. If Rhaenyra wants to get rid of the Greens sitting inside Tumbleton, she cannot just attack the city without also killing a large number of innocent people in the process. That kind of collateral damage would make the realm hate her even more than they already do. And remember, the small folk already do not trust her after everything that happened at the end of Episode 2. This is why Ormund Hightower is being set up as a much bigger threat than Criston Cole ever was. Getting rid of an army in an open battle is one thing. Getting rid of an army that is hiding behind thousands of innocent civilians is something else entirely. If Rhaenyra attacks and people die who should not have died, it destroys any chance she has of being seen as a fair or good queen. But if she does not attack, the Greens simply hold on to Tumbleton and grow stronger, while she looks weak and unable to deal with the threat. There is also the issue of Hugh Hammer, the dragon rider who has Vermithor, the second biggest dragon in the entire realm, behind only Vhagar. His wife wanted to go to Tumbleton, so if Rhaenyra ends up attacking the city and causing a lot of death and destruction there, it might turn Hugh Hammer against her as well. Losing the loyalty of a rider with a dragon as powerful as Vermithor would be a massive blow to her side, especially since she already has to worry about Aemond and Vhagar being out there somewhere. This is exactly the kind of situation where one bad decision could cost Rhaenyra multiple allies at once, and it all comes back to this one clever move by Ormund Hightower. On top of the Tumbleton situation, Ormund Hightower also seems to be running a second trap, using a fake version of Darren Targaryen. In this trailer, Daemon rides out in his armor to meet with Ormund Hightower, and standing there is someone who looks like Darren, except with silver-white hair instead of the different colored hair we saw earlier in the season. Most people believe that the real Darren is the one we already saw, and that this version with the white hair is not actually him. It looks like Ormund Hightower is using this fake Darren to trick the Blacks into thinking they already have the real one in custody, which would take away any urgency to track down the real Darren and his dragon. The reason this matters so much is because whoever controls the real Darren also controls another dragon rider and another claimant to the Iron Throne. If Ormund Hightower can keep people confused about which Darren is real, he buys himself time and keeps his dragon rider hidden and protected. It is a small deception, but it shows exactly the kind of person Ormund Hightower is turning out to be. He is not someone who wins with brute force, like Criston Cole tried to do. He wins by making his enemies question everything, and by setting up situations where every choice they make ends up hurting them in some way. There is a comparison being made by people close to the show that Ormund Hightower, played by James Norton this season, might end up being something like a Ramsay Bolton-type character from the original Game of Thrones series. Ramsay Bolton was famous for using every trick available to make Jon Snow's life miserable during the battle for Winterfell, forcing him into decisions that all led to bad outcomes. It looks like the show wants Ormund Hightower to play a similar role against Rhaenyra, except he is not going to be as over-the-top or as obviously insane as Ramsay Bolton was. He seems calm, calculated, and patient, which honestly might make him even more dangerous, because you never know exactly what he is planning until it is too late. All of this is happening while Rhaenyra is only just getting settled into her new role as queen. She already saw how badly things went with the small folk after she flew in with all the dragon seeds, and now she has an even bigger problem waiting for her on the other side of the map, with Ormund Hightower controlling an entire city and possibly hiding the real heir to the throne. It seems like Season 3 wants to show Rhaenyra facing one impossible decision after another. And Ormund Hightower's trap in Tumbleton might be the clearest example yet of just how hard it is going to be for her to hold on to power without losing herself in the process. What makes this situation even more interesting is how Ormund Hightower himself seems to view the entire war. In the trailer, he says a line about wanting to restore the rightful line to the Iron Throne, which sounds like standard talk from the Greens, about putting a Hightower, or Targaryen, loyal to their cause back on the throne. But remember how surprised and almost amused he looked earlier this season when Aemond ended up crowning himself king. That reaction tells you a lot about how Ormund Hightower actually thinks. He does not seem to care that much about which specific person sits on the Iron Throne. What he cares about is control. If he has Darren under his influence, whether it is the real one or this fake version he is using right now, he would rather see Darren on the throne because that means he has a king he can control completely. One king is as good as another to him, as long as that king listens to what Ormund Hightower wants. This tells us that Ormund Hightower is playing a much longer game than most of the other players in this war. Criston Cole wanted glory and a big battle. Aemond wants revenge and to prove he deserves the crown. Rhaenyra wants to be accepted as a fair queen. Ormund Hightower just wants power in his own hands, and he is willing to use deception, hostages, fake heirs, and entire cities full of innocent people to get there. This kind of patient, quiet ambition is exactly why so many people believe he is being set up as the major long-term threat heading into Season 4, more than Aemond or anyone else still standing on the green side. Meanwhile, back inside the Red Keep, Rhaenyra is dealing with a completely different kind of pressure. She is only a day or two into her rule, and she is already burning old banners and symbols belonging to Aegon and the Greens. Redecorating the castle the same way Alicent once redecorated it after taking the Iron Throne years earlier. It feels like Rhaenyra and Daemon are trying to erase what came before them, but history has already shown in this story that redecorating a castle does not fix the deeper problems underneath. The people who live in the realm do not care about banners on a wall. They care about whether they are safe, and right now, with Ormund Hightower holding Tumbleton and hiding a dragon rider using a fake identity, safety is not something Rhaenyra can promise anyone. There is also growing tension between Rhaenyra and Alicent that plays right into this larger web of problems Ormund Hightower is creating from the outside. Alicent is now confined to her chambers, along with Helaena, technically prisoners in a very light sense, since they are not allowed to move freely through the Red Keep. Rhaenyra seems to want something from Alicent that she may never get, some kind of approval or acknowledgement that she is doing a good job as queen. But Alicent is still angry about her father's death, even if she understands on some level why it happened. With Rhaenyra distracted by trying to manage this fractured relationship inside her own home, she has even less attention to give to the much bigger threat quietly building around Tumbleton. This is exactly the kind of complex, multi-layered downfall the writers seem to be building for Rhaenyra this season. It is not going to be one big dramatic battle that breaks her. It is going to be a combination of small, painful decisions, stacking on top of each other. A city she cannot attack without losing public support. A dragon rider she might lose because of collateral damage. A fake heir designed to slow her down. A mother figure who will never fully forgive her. Every single one of these problems on its own might be manageable, but together they start to look like a trap with no clean way out, and Ormund Hightower is the one quietly pulling most of these strings from behind the scenes. If this trailer is any indication, Episode 3 is going to spend a lot of time showing just how outmatched Rhaenyra feels, even while sitting on the most powerful seat in the realm. She wanted to be a good queen who earns the loyalty of her people. But Ormund Hightower is making sure that every move she makes either costs her something or makes her look worse in the eyes of the small folk. Whether he survives long enough to become the true final threat of the series remains to be seen. But based on everything shown so far, it looks like the show is spending real time building him into someone far more dangerous than he first appeared to be. As the season moves forward, keep a close eye on how Rhaenyra chooses to deal with Tumbleton, because that one decision might end up shaping the entire rest of her reign.